Toiv loch. Let's give some tzedakah this Erev Shabbos Kodesh. Always giving tzedakah is good, especially Erev Shabbos, the day before Shabbos, is a very propitious time to give tzedakah. And I might as well remind you, women have a custom that before they light the Shabbat candles, they give a few coins in the pushka. And it says the time when they light the candles, the prayers they make is extremely powerful. The heavens are open for the ladies, the mothers, the daughters, the girls that light the Shabbos candles. So we will join them in their prayer for the well-being in all of Klal Yisrael, and obviously to see the ultimate, imminent light of Gula of Mashiach. It's Erev Shabbos. I always like to tell a story. So this is following what we discussed yesterday, how God cherishes every individual's act. There are no two individuals who do the same act. We put out tefillin the same way. We eat matzah on Pesach the same way. We light the Shabbat candles the same way. But the thoughts, the feeling, the emotional relationship with God, the spiritual achievement, the spiritual growth, each one has his own and her own journey. And therefore God says, I will repeat it over and over and over and over, everything you did, because each one is unique. And this reminds me of a story. The Rebbe would have a custom that on Erev Pesach, the day before Pesach, in the afternoon, he would stand for hours and give all the people who would pass by in front of him a piece of matzah, piece of the shmur matzah that was baked actually on Erev Pesach. Later on, when the crowds were way bigger, it was impossible to do it all just in one afternoon, so the Rebbe would start giving it earlier, and the Rebbe would give it to the people of the kollel, those young men who would study in kollel, each one a pound, and they would give out to all the people, and so on. But it was 1970 or 1971. The Rebbe was still, at that time, personally give everyone Erev Pesach in the afternoon. The Rebbe would stand at his door, half in the door, half outside of the door. Next to the door there were the boxes of the matzahs. The Rebbe would take a piece of matzah, hand to the person, and the Rebbe would wish him a kosher and a freilichen Pesach. A kosher and happy Pesach. Traditional blessing. Matzah, kosher, happy Pesach. Move on next. So there I'm standing in line. And in front of me stood, at that time he was a bacher, his name was Rabbi Yitzchak. Today we call him Rabbi Yitzchak Nemanov, we call him Itche Nemanov, and the son of the famous Mashpia, the famous great Chassidic figure, Reb Nissen Nemanov, who the previous Rebbe said about him that there are times that he reaches the level of a Beinoni of Tanya, which basically in our terminology means a tremendous great tzaddik. So Itche was a student in Yeshiva in 770. I was standing right behind him. He walks by the Rebbe gives him a piece of matzah and wishes him a kosher and a freilichen Pesach, and now I'm standing right next to the Rebbe, expecting to receive a piece of matzah. Suddenly the Rebbe turns around to Rabbi Groner, the secretary, and says, Ruf him zurück. Call him back. He's shaking, he's trembling. The Rebbe's calling him back. What happened? He's white as a sheet of paper. And the Rebbe asks him the following words, and I quote verbatim. Das hast du genommen für sich, oder das hast du genommen für einen Taten? You have taken this for yourself, or you took this for your father? Itche is shaking, trembling, and he tells the Rebbe, für sich, I took it for myself. And Itche has the matzah in his hand. The Rebbe pulls it out from his hand, and the Rebbe says, Hab gemeint, dass das genommen für einen Taten. I thought you took it for your father. And the Rebbe gave him another piece of matzah and now wished him again a kosher und a freilichen Pesach. The matzah is the same, the word, the blessing is the same, but it's not. The kosher and freilichen Pesach, which is for Itche, is not the same kosher and freilichen Pesach, which is for his father. Because when the Rebbe gives matzah, he gives with his the blessing, what the matzah represents. The matzah represents the food of faith and food of healing. Different levels. There's a different faith. For Reb Nissen, there's a different faith level of Itche. There's different health for Reb Nissen, and there is a different health for Itche. We don't see the difference. The Rebbe does. God does.